Welcome everyone to the Return to Love show, and I am your host Divya Madhur. In this show, we're going to be talking about everything love, relationships, emotional mental wellness, life, dreams, and so much more. So stay tuned in. And today's topic is surrounding unconditional love. Now, that's something that we hear a lot in the media these days. We hear a lot in different conversations these days. But do we really know the meaning of this? Do we really, uh, you know, feel unconditional love in our relationships? Most probably, you're wondering right now, how do I know what is unconditional love at the first place? Because what I feel right now, I feel loved. But is that unconditional love or it is conditional? Now, to begin with, the first thing that is very clear from the word itself, unconditional, which means the love that we're talking about here is not conditional. It does not come with conditions. Now, what would that mean, or what could that mean? That could mean that if you look this way, I will love you. Or if you get so much marks, I will love you. Or if you behave like this, I will love you. Or if you listen to me, I will love you. Or anything like that on the lines of completely, which has conditions. Which has conditions. And now you'll be doubting everything you heard about love almost all your life. I'm sorry to say it was conditional. Most of it was conditional because that is how our primary caregivers were tuned and trained to raise us and any other people that we met. Now, here is not the idea to put them at fault. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is that they gave us what they knew the best, right? What they knew as a definition of love. Now, moving forward, how do you offer love to someone which is unconditional only when you know what is unconditional love at the first place? You cannot offer someone something you don't know. You cannot live that, right? We can only live in our lives what we understand in completely our body, heart, and mind, and in our spirit as well. So it's a very interesting or a very helpful way to move through in terms of learning what is unconditional love at the first place and how do you really identify if you are offering it to someone or if someone is offering it to you or not. Either ways. Now, again, coming back to the same point, the word says a lot already that unconditional love is about a love which does not have conditions. Now, you may start to wonder, how do I even have a love which does not have conditions? Because if you start observing and moving through the relationships you have in your life currently, you may see that there are conditions everywhere. And again, this is not to blame you or this is not to find faults with your relationship, completely not. This is to support you in order for you to build a life full of unconditional love. And love is a feeling which expands us. Love is a feeling which, grows us into a better human being. Love is a feeling that makes this world a better place to be in. And we often hear in movies, in media, in our romantic conversations saying, love is all you need. Well, that's not true because that would not be holistic, completely not. It may depend on what you define as love. Again, there are aspects that I'm going to bring to you. You may already classify them as love. However, it's more like that love is this thing, and when you start distributing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and make like uh, like put it together and then becomes love. And this is what I'm going to be talking about today, aspects that will make you understand what is unconditional love at the first place, what is it made of, what are the primary characteristics for the loss of another word or the features or identification marks of unconditional love, so that you can offer it to someone and also enable yourself to receive it from someone. Okay, so I think first thing that we will talk about is there has to be love. Clearly, yes, there has to be love. The emotion which kind of connects us to the other being. It may be human or not, but other being. Or also, there are things that we love which are non-living as well. However, at this point in time, for our conversation's sake, we're only going to be talking about human relationships in this space, right? Now, let's say you look at any relationship of yours, the first thing that's very necessary to have in that relationship is love. Okay. We've discussed about love in our previous episode. In case you've missed that, you may go back and listen to that first, and continue from here onwards. Okay. And then now that you have a basic understanding of what love is, primary understanding of what love is in its most pure and original form, we look at what makes it unconditional or what makes it very pure, right? Now, the first thing that's so important for us is to understand that love alone is not enough. Okay, I will remind you of that again. Love alone is not enough. When we say relationships, all you need is love, it's not true. It's really something that puts you into a very fictitious situation. You start living a fiction rather than reality. Love itself is not enough. And I'm not talking about materialistic aspects at this moment. I'm talking about a lot of lived experience in the body, lived experience in the heart, lived experience in the mind. So let's look at what are the other aspects that contribute to making a relationship full of love, unconditional love. Now, the very first aspect, you may be guessing right now, so I'll tell you. The first aspect is safety. Safety. And you'll be like, oh my god, but safety? How is love and safety connected? Now, what we've mostly heard of physical safety. When we talk of safety, we say we're not safe here, we're not safe there, or we are safe here, we are safe there, which is a very, very huge connotation towards physical safety, someone's physical being's safety. However, safety is not just that limited. Safety is a very expansive experience in the life that we are leading right now. Safety could include emotional, mental, physiological, financial, and also physical. Right? Now, it can mean so many things. As when we are talking about all of this, it creates your relational safety when all of these come together. So, if say a person you really love, however, they are not safe financially, then it cannot classify for unconditional love, because you may be keeping aspects of yourself away from them to safeguard your financial placement, whatever that is. The same way, if you feel love towards someone and you do not feel mentally safe with them, you feel attacked, you feel judged, you feel insulted or blamed or shamed in any way, then it's not holistic love, pure love, because it lacks that safety that you need in order for you to develop that bond from unconditional love. And examples can go on in each and every way. So, emotional safety, mental safety, physical safety, financial safety. All these aspects will end up forming parts of relational safety. Okay, this is you being safe, you feeling safe, you experiencing safety in a relationship with someone, right? And that is how you would come to understand that this is what it is for you in terms of the first aspect of unconditional love that we are talking about. So safety is a very important part. Now think of any relationship that you may have had in your life, anywhere, where you loved them and they loved you, but you didn't feel safe emotionally. Were you dedicated wholly to them? Were you dedicated fully to them? Most likely not. A part of you was always trying to protect you from that person in one way or the other. With you realizing it or with you not realizing it also. Not everything happens consciously. There are so many subconscious things that are happening in our life which are really on autopilot and not so much on a conscious way of life. So always observe your relationships. Safety is a very important parameter of unconditional love. We can only be dedicated to a relationship in the space of unconditional love if there is first safety. All right. The next aspect, which is very important also, is respect. We tend to overlook respect, specifically in a patriarchal culture. Somebody disrespecting us is also called love. It is not love, really. It is called love, or it is categorized as love. However, it is not. Anybody who's doing acts of disrespect towards you is not love. That person does not have love towards you. So respect is a very important part. In most situations, somebody who you deeply respect, you may be able to develop love for them. But someone you do not respect, it will be very difficult for you to love them. And go and observe situations and relationships that you have in your life, and you will start to see how beautiful this pattern will emerge, in your life, in different aspects of your life, that when you do not respect someone, there is very little chance that you can love them. Okay. So respect is a very important part. The same way, when someone does not respect you, please also see that they also may not also love you. They may not. So, or probably what you or them are classifying as love is not also love in the first place, right? So, very important aspect again, aspect number two is respect. First, we talked about safety, second is respect, right? Now, another thing that's very, very important is compassion. Empathy and compassion is something that we have been gifted as human beings. We have a heart that feels, and we have empathy inside of us. Now, what happens is when different kinds of events happen in our life, at that point in time, we start to become very hardened. I think we've spoken about this before, but I'm bringing it back for a current context. We start to become very hardened, very tight as individuals, and we start to not be compassionate and empathetic towards people in any way or the other, or for that matter, any living beings. However, when that happens, our ability and our capacity to love someone or be loved by someone starts to go down. Right? It's basically like this. You got a food item, and probably because of refrigeration, it has hardened from one part of the whole thing, like the whole dish. One part of it is hardened due to being refrigerated. Now, when you start eating the dish, you would realize that you've not been able to relish the whole thing because it has undergone certain structural and basic changes for which you got it, and you don't find that anymore here because parts of that thing has hardened and its structure has changed. And the same thing happens with us. When we start to harden up because of life events that have not gone really right or good or healthy in our lives, we start to harden up as human beings. We start to make our heart very, it's not anymore soft with love and compassion. It's very hard with constantly trying to protect ourselves. And in that situation, what happens is that our ability to receive love and our ability to give love starts to reduce to the extent we've hardened ourselves up. It cannot be unconditional any which ways when that kind of situation arrives. And heart has to be very vulnerable and open with healthy boundaries for sure. However, an open heart can only experience unconditional love. So, compassion, coming back to the third point, which is very important for unconditional love, compassion and empathy. Compassion is a very important part of being a human, on this planet. Love comes second, before that compassion comes, right? Now, what would compassion mean? Compassion means that we have a compassionate thought, or we have a caring thought towards someone, whoever that may be related to you, not related to you, or maybe in any situation, just you've just seen them as an outsider, as a stranger, however, having compassion and empathy. So, what's happening is everybody is dealing in their lives with something or the other. It appears that they are not, but they are, because they may be putting it out there or they may not be putting it out there. However, that does not mean that they have nothing going on in their lives which is bothering them, right? So, something is going on in everybody's life which is kind of putting them at a place where they are feeling bad, hurt, unloved, all of those things. Now, or any of those, or a lot more different things that we can comprehend at this point in time. So, what happens is that when we start to understand that other people are dealing with something or the other at any point in time, then when we are not hard on them, we offer them compassion to be who they are. Not allowing them to hurt and harm us in the process, definitely yes. However, at the same time, not trying to push ourselves on them or not trying to make a conclusion out of them. We are very used to, as human beings, as a society, we are so used to giving people tags. This person is like this person is like that. However, they are all acting out of their current state of emotional, mental, physical situation, whatever that may be going on in their life, and also the past trauma that they've accumulated and their reaction based on that. So, what I'm bringing your attention to is that always having that compassion in our hearts, because compassion is a very basic need. Very basic. When you are dealing with something and say somebody is being very harsh on you, imagine how you feel. You don't want others to feel like that when they are dealing with something, right? So what happens when you change this? People who come into your life will also change. We are always in a cyclic pattern of what we give out is what we receive, or what we offer to others is what is offered to us. So it's like a cyclic pattern. What you sow is what you reap, is exactly what I'm saying, but in a different way, because sowing and reaping may look like a very huge timeline. However, when we talk about compassionate, kind, empathetic acts, the timeline can really reduce to a very small timeline, right? So I'm just referring it from that perspective. Now, in the space of compassion, we don't have to go ahead in every situation to do something, even if we hold love and compassion in our hearts for the person saying they are dealing with something, it's already a good act of unconditional love, right? Now, let's say if you are dealing with something and someone comes up to you and just says that I understand, and I hope you find your solution soon. I hope you find what you're looking for, or let me know if you need anything. How would you feel? I'm sure you'll feel loved and supported. That is just compassion, and it may not also be necessary that they have to actually come and help you. Yes, it is possible. Please take that help. If you wish to help somebody, please help someone. However, what I'm saying is compassion does not mean for you to always go out and prioritize someone else's situations. It is a meaning that you are compassionate with them. You are empathetic with them, that they are dealing with something, and I'm okay to be here in my situation without the need to call them names. So let's say if somebody had to finish an assignment and they didn't finish it, instead of calling them a failure, loser, you would rather tell them that it's okay. We all are here at some point in our lives when we're not able to meet our targets, and that's fine. That does not mean you are a nobody. That does not mean you are a failure. So just having that thought for someone, that feeling for someone, is already compassion. And yes, if help can be extended, please go ahead. And if you feel right to do that, please go ahead. And the same way, if someone's offering help to you and you feel you need it, and it works for you, aligns for you in the healthy way, please receive it. But at the same time, remember that compassion is about first changing your heart. It's not about what others do to you or what you do to others. It's first about changing your heart and understanding that everybody is dealing with something or the other in life. And we hold the space for that. And that itself can be a miracle to so many people. Now that we've talked about safety and compassion, we'll also look at another aspect. In any relationship that has love, there is individuality. It may feel like, what does that mean? Individuality means that this person, whoever are involved in the relationship, the people who are involved in the relationship, they have their own individual life. They have their own individual tastes, likes, dislikes, their preferences, their choices, their what they like, what they don't like, what they would accept in the relationship, what they wouldn't accept in the relationship, and stuff like that, and more to go, their own dreams and stuff like that. Now, and this is a very important aspect of having a relationship, that is with unconditional love. If somebody life is a photocopy of yours and they do not have an individual life, then it probably is not unconditional love, it is just codependency, where their life becomes a mirror of yours or your life becomes a mirror of theirs. Either ways, if there is no individuality in the relationship, then there is no possibility of unconditional love. Okay. It's so important to have an individual space in the relationship, because a relationship is not meant to fulfill everything in our lives. A relationship is a space holding for each other as we grow and become better individuals or human beings. That does not mean that somebody needs to be living some way, earning something, wearing something, none of that. It's completely first the space for the person to be themselves completely. And the other aspect of this is also um, that they allow you to be who you are, and so do you allow them to be who they are, without the need for you to make each other's choices the other person's and force yourself on them or allow others to force you. Or also at the same time, do not control their life choices, right? So the need to control life choices already means there is no love. Forget unconditional, there is no love at all, first of all. And we have as a society grown up listening to the fact that when we are forcing things on people, we tell them we know better for you than you do for yourself. Trust me, the only person who knows what's good or bad for them is themselves. And even if they end up making mistakes, they will learn from it and grow to become a better individual. However, you can be there as a support advice instead of forcing, right? So there is a difference between being an individual in a relationship, having that individuality, and being a person who's completely following what the other person is doing or saying or asking you to do. When you don't have individuality, there is no possibility you can have unconditional love, because you do not love yourself already. And if you don't love yourself, you cannot love another. This is the bomb I'm going to drop every episode. Okay. But I'm just reminding you, when you are not your own person, when you do not have your own individual, personality is not the right word really. When you don't have your own individual spirit, basically, then there's no possibility you could be in a relationship where there is love or unconditional love. Right. Now that's aspect number three we've talked about. So it's very important for each and every person within the relationship have their own individuality. It can mean what it means to them. It doesn't have to mean anything that it means to me or to you or to anyone else, but to the person in context here. Okay. Now, the fourth aspect that we're looking at also is grace. You've heard of this thing called grace marks in school. It used to be the case, at least when I was in school, there used to be some grace marks so that children who were just on the borderline between failing and passing would get a few marks and get through the passing line. That's literally what it means in our lives as well. People are trying. Everybody is trying. Everybody is trying to lead a good, healthy, better life. Some people get it faster or earlier or easier, however, some don't. But what happens is, because the society has come up with a certain thing that by this age this happens, by this age this happens, and if you don't follow that line, you are a failure or you have something wrong going on in your life, right? Now, there is no one formula fits all. No formula that fits all at all. There is a formula the person gets to decide on the way for themselves as it works for them, and no one else can do it for them, right? So in this space, and I'm talking about adults for sure here, so in this space, it's very important to understand that grace marks are not just something that we give in school for students who are trying to pass. What we are looking at changing our mindset is grace marks are for failures, right? It is not. It is for students who are trying to pass, for children who are trying to pass. Can you see the difference? Can you see the shift? The same way in life, we do not give grace because of people who are failures. We give grace because we know they are trying and they need a little bit of hand or support to get to that line that they not have to cross. Again, that's their line, not for us to define. So, my context here is to give them grace. If they have not done something that you feel should have been done by them, please give them grace, right? And the same way, give yourself grace. Anybody in any relationship, grace is a very important thing to offer, very important experience to offer to your relationships, because we're all trying. We're all really, really trying every single day. Literally. And that alone is proof enough that someone wants to get to the other side of that, whatever line there is. So they don't need your shaming, they don't need your blaming, they don't need your name calling, they need your grace. And that's what would happen when somebody's relationship consists of unconditional love, that they would offer each other grace. It may be new, but it's totally possible to offer each other grace. And how can you offer each other grace? When you offer grace to your own self, know that you are making mistakes too. You are learning from those mistakes and moving forward to build a life, and you are trying every single day. You are. You know that, right? And I'm just reminding you the same thing. Exactly the same thing, that you are trying and so are they. So when you give yourself grace, you're able to give another person grace as well. And the fifth aspect we are moving to now is, when there is love, when there is really unconditional love, our desire in the relationship is to serve. Desire in the relationship is not to take. The desire in the relationship is to serve the person, or to serve whichever way. Let's say you love a social cause, so you would be like wanting to serve that social cause. You would want to serve someone who you love. You would want to take care of them. You would want to do things for them, and that is called service, being of service to someone. Very important aspect, that willingness to be of service to someone is going to mark a huge difference in what you call love and moving it to unconditional love. Because media kind of programs us to see, what do we have to take from a relationship, what can I get from the relationship, but what about what can you offer, what about what can you give, what about how can you serve. And when I'm saying giving, it does not have to mean material things or money or stuff. It means about offering them yourself, your heart, your uh, presence, or your support, right? How do you offer yourself as an individual in the relationship? How can you serve someone better? Imagine you go to a restaurant and their food is amazing and the service really is pathetic. Would you visit the restaurant again? Most likely not. You may take away from there, but sitting down there because the service is so bad, you wouldn't want to have that experience again if you're really looking for a good experience. This is the same thing that happens in a relationship. If you are in a relationship and you say that you love someone and you're not willing to serve, you're just willing to take, how long will that person be persistent in the relationship? After a point, they would start to feel their energies are depleting, constantly giving you something without receiving anything. The same way, you go to a restaurant which is amazing food and amazing service, even better than the food, right? So what happens? You would want to go there again. You would want to recommend it to other people. You would probably give it a great rating on Google and other places. So that's exactly what happens in relationships. The willingness to serve, the desire to serve the person with whom you are in the relationship is a very important aspect to see that it's unconditional love. And when I'm talking about all of these, I'm talking both sides, that this is what you offer and that's what you get as well, right? So the relationship is no more about taking. The relationship is allowing someone else to mirror your offerings in the relationship, right? So, summing up, whatever we've talked about today in terms of what are the primary aspects of relationship success in terms of unconditional love, right? Success can mean a lot of things, and we'll talk about it someday. For now, relational success, or moving our relationships to unconditional love, has five important elements. Of course, I'm not including love itself. It is important, clearly, yes, because we're calling it unconditional love. Yeah, so first is safety, right? Second is respect, right? Third is compassion. Fourth is grace. Fifth is individuality. And sixth is willingness to serve. So there's not five, it's six. Sorry for that. Yeah. And I'm asking for grace at this point. Where my calculation went for a toss. I was talking about six elements and it is five. So yes, what would you offer me right now? You could offer me grace. I am offering myself some grace. Yes, so what a beautiful on point moment. This is universe's magic to show us that when we go through things like these, we can offer ourselves grace and others grace, and that's how we can love ourselves and others unconditionally. And it's a beautiful journey. When you love someone unconditionally, you will love yourself unconditionally. You will start to see how beautiful and magical this life becomes, literally. And I am a living proof of that. I will say this every single day, every single moment. Love yourself unconditionally and love others unconditionally, and you will see the miracles that unfold in life. And yes, a disclaimer, when I say unconditional love, love someone unconditionally, if they're abusing you, if they are manipulating, if you are being toxic to you, sorry, that's anyway already not love. So please do not classify that under unconditional love of being in that relationship and tolerating that. You have to find your ways out of that relationship or find a resolution towards that relationship, challenge whatever that may be. However, that is not unconditional love because you're not in your highest spirit, you're not in your highest vibration. So it is not unconditional love. So I'm just reminding you that if you are tolerating abuse, if you're tolerating anything unhealthy in the name of unconditional love, then please, it's already not unconditional love. It's not even love. And at the same time, you have to find a way to exit the situation or the pattern or the relationship, whichever may be right for you. Right? And that is it. Just reminding you of unconditional love and saying goodbye now. And please remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment with your questions. I'll be more than happy to bring them on as we proceed in these conversations. So thank you so much. Look forward to see you again. This is the Return to Love show, and I'm your host, Divya Madhur. Thank you.